Ossa, Emily, welcome to a very special Christmas edition of TRonBlock.com. We're focusing on Blossa. Now, that brand really is quite a unique Nordic region product, mainly, of course, for Sweden. Can we start, please, by walking through its history and background? What makes it so unique a glog? Ossa?
Why it's unique? It's a long tradition in Sweden, or I would say in the Nordic area, to spice wine with the spices and then afterward put some sugar in it so it's sweet. But this tradition is not just the Nordic. You have it in total Europe. You like vermouth, and so it's quite common to spice your wine. And if you go back very long time, if you think about the transportation wasn't that good. So just to get the wine drinkable, you added some spices. And why not add the most expensive spices to really show that you are wealthy, and then you put a lot of sugar in the wine so you can really state that you are the biggest or the most important person. So I think that's a little bit of the origin. So Gustav Vasa had his own glögg blending person. But Blossa, for us, we are going back to a small place in Gamla stan in Stockholm. So the oldest recipe that we have, it's not actually a recipe. It's a finance book saying how much they need to purchase of each component. So from that, we have interpreted the recipe. So that is from 1895. And then from 1927, we have the full recipes each
But
year.
I understand that the recipe itself, you've just touched on some of the ingredients. It's actually still a very closely guarded secret. Is that still the case?
It's a little bit, but the thing is that the product is not just the recipe; it's also how you do it. So from the beginning from 1920 or 1927, the process is more or less the same as it has always been. The only thing that happens now is that you do it in bigger scale. At that time, you produced maybe 300,000 liters for Sweden. Now you produce around 4 million liters or something like that. So it's a little bit bigger.
4 million litres is quite a significant number. I mean, Emily, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the major part is really Sweden. We sell almost 3.4 million liters in Sweden, so it's yeah, that clearly says how big it is, and also that it is sold during only 3 months. So yeah, it's quite strong.
To
Okay.
it.
So, Emily, I mean, as a product, Blossa itself seems to be inextricably linked to Christmas and New Year. But, as senior product manager, I mean, you would argue that it should be looked at rather more as a winter season drink. And the winter season in the Nordic region actually extends for quite a period of time. That would seem to make more commercial sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, naturally, glögg can be consumed both before and after Christmas. I mean, especially the heated glöggs are very nice to drink when it's a bit chilly outside. And as most of us know, I mean, the ski season almost sort of starts after the New Year. But as glögg is very, very big in Sweden, we are sort of also, what's going to say, captured by the monopoly and how the trade window works. So I mean, it's very traditional for Swedes. So we sort of have the November to December, very Christmas, heavy occasion around it. But with that said, it's perfectly fine and can be very nice to drink, both earlier in the autumn and later on. But if you look at, I mean, the other regions, European Alps, etc., we have the Glühwein tradition, which are, yeah, very much about drinking later in the new year.
So, just developing this, also, can you tell us the difference between a glog and a glühwein?
I would say the difference between a Wien-glögg and a Glühwein is not that big, but there are some key elements. In a Glühwein, the spice is cinnamon, but in a glögg, the spice is clove in combination with other spices, or cinnamon in combination with other spices. And if you look at traditional, Vinglögg is sweeter also, and the wine character is more dominant compared to what if you in Glühwein. And Glühwein is lighter in both in wine. It's also light or less sweet, and a little bit less. I would say a little bit less in spiciness also.
Well, I think we should take a short commercial break here and view a couple of things you've done recently in the domestic market, including a flash mob in Stockholm, as well as a dedicated and very, very catchy Christmas song that has simply endeared itself to everyone.
BLO, 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 SSA, BLO, BLO, SSA, 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 glöggen heter BLO, SSA, BLO, SSA, BLO, SSA, glöggen heter BLO. Glöggen heter Blossa, BLO, SSA, BLO, SSA, BLO, SSA, glöggen heter Blossa.
Well, that was fun. Emily, just tell us something about the origins of the jingle itself.
Yes, I mean, except from being, what makes Blossa so unique is not only the very unique quality of the product and the tradition and craftsmanship, it's only the very, very strong connection to its consumers, the Swedish consumers, I would say. So in the 90s, this Santa commercial with this jingle was made up, and it's actually been going on in commercials ever since, and it's very, very popular, and also, almost all Swedes know about it, so it's a very, very strong bond to consumers.
But you actually do more than just sort of relaunch the annual commercial, and given its popularity, you actually do something very special in a hotel, I understand, in Stockholm, where you actually completely take over quite a substantial room and make it Blossa's own, and all that is Christmas. And that's a wonderful thing to do at this time of year. Tell us more.
Yeah, isn't it? I mean, so last year was the first year we did this collaboration with Haymarket by Scandic here in Stockholm, and room 24, or room 24 as it was called. So 24 stands for Christmas Eve, and it's all about the idea of, you can celebrate Christmas Eve whenever you like, to sort of prolong it and without the stress or the hectic that can be a quite hectic period for some at Christmas. It's not only nice and coziness. So it's a room, and actually this year it's 2 rooms. It's a suite as well. It's sort of the maximized Christmas experience and Christmas setting with light, Christmas music, films, and of course some Blossa glögg as well.
Okay, but I can actually see this sort of promotion translating itself exceptionally well if it was placed in an airport environment, don't you?
Yeah, that would be very nice. I mean, sort of a, I don't know, saloon you can just jump into and take a little Christmas nap maybe.
All right, so moving on. I mean, of course, you've got a much wider product range available throughout the year, but it does beg a question. Why haven't you actually looked to expand the brand's distribution outside of the Nordic region? Or are you now adjusting your strategy and refocusing to achieve wider global distribution?
Yeah, of course, it's something we discuss a lot. I mean, we do have distribution and we are available outside the Nordics, but the distribution is of course very much smaller. But we are, I mean, a new focus area for going forward is Germany, and we very much interested in expanding in the sort of the Glühwein region, as we of course have some similarities between glögg and Glühwein, and we see the potential, the consumer sort of getting the concept of glögg.
Also, as chief blender, would you consider changing the recipe to accommodate new countries?
That depends on what we should change. There's some key elements that we don't change, but for example, you can change the sugar content to get it less sweet if you want to. You can also discuss whether you should have it a little less spicy. But the spice combination, no. The spice combination will be there.
So now, as far as travel retail is concerned, I mean, what do you consider have been the main challenges that you've identified as potential barriers to acceptance of Blossa? I mean, is it just cultural, seen as too regional a product, too seasonal a product, or is it price points, or something completely else? I mean, are margins an issue, for example?
Yeah, I would say the general challenge actually in all markets is of course the seasonality. I mean, we have a shorter period of time to sell the product. That sort of it brings some challenges. But the main challenge for glögg outside the Nordics, I would say, is more about the low awareness for the category, as it is something else. It's not mulled wine. It's not Glühwein. Glögg is, as also said, a category in itself, and therefore we of course need to build the knowledge about it and the drinking occasions and make consumers to try it. And that's what we plan to do going forward.
Well, I think trblocked.com platform should be help build that awareness for sure. Now, as we know, sustainability lies at the very core of everything that Anora stands for. Does Blossa tick all the boxes too? This one to you, Åsa.
Yes, we try. This is not a work that you do overnight. You need to do changes on a constantly basis, and you need to see, first of all, where you have your biggest problem and try to work with them. What we are trying to do is to work with as much as a circular system. So, for example, we do an alcohol-free glögg, and to do that, we are using wine, but it can't be wine with normal alcohol, so we take away the alcohol, and that alcohol is then reused in the other products. So we are constantly working with that, and also looking into how wine is grown. But it's a work that takes a long time.
Yeah, and also building on that sustainability is also, and how do you define it? It can also be about lower sugar content. It can be lower alcohol, and also that sort of product. So we have launched products with lower alcohol content. I mean, compared to normal wine, or what you say, and also products that we have both reduced the sugar, but also removed it and used sweeteners instead. So that is also a way of sustainability, of course.
So it's lower in alcohol. I get that. Is there anything else that's an added ingredient, an added factor to the mix? Emily?
Yeah, of course. The whole product is very important, including the packaging. And we both have lightweight bottles, and also, work with other aspects, as for example, a bag-in-box that we have in Systembolaget.
certainly low alcohol is an increasingly burgeoning and growing category within the spirits business within travel retail. Have you got anything to add for that? Anything we can look forward to?
We have a very wide portfolio already, but we are working very much with innovation and bringing new flavors, flavored glögg to the market. So that is definitely something you can look forward to next year as well.
Okay, guys. So look, one last question. If there were 3 things that you wanted to say to our viewing audience other than the Happy Christmas and New Year, what would they be?
First of all, the Blossa brand is all about, the aim is to spread warmth and sort of bring warmth into the cold season and turning it into something positive and social. So of course, we want to encourage everyone to reach out to someone you like or care for, and maybe invite them over for a glögg. And I think also have some recommendations for the glögg parties as well.
In Sweden, it's very traditionally that you have almonds and raisins in the traditional glögg and you heat it up. But I think you can also try to have the almonds on the side and roast it a little bit with salt. It's perfect also to the glögg. Or why not take just a good cheese and put it in slices and eat it like that, instead of just the traditional way of doing it.
That's great. A suitable moment on which to end the interview. Åsa, Emily, thank you so much for your time, and here's wishing you the very best for Christmas and the New Year.
Yeah, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Cheers.
Glöggen heter Blossa.